Good morning, great morning, wonderful morning, spectacular morning, outstanding morning, magnificent morning. Yes, again, that beautiful reminder for you, for me, for every one of us to give meaning to that which is fundamentally meaningless. Remember, everything just is. I love that reminder from William Shakespeare. Nothing is good or bad. It's our thinking that makes it so. See, you, me, we've all been given that magnificent gift to steer our thoughts. And through the steering of our thoughts, the outcomes of our life change, provided we steer our mind into thinking thoughts that are in harmony with whatever those changes are that we seek. It's really beautiful. Again, I was tapping into the hidden power, and there's this line in here that's incredible, and it ties beautifully into everything that we've been going into. He says, our thought as feeling is the magnet which draws to us those conditions which accurately correspond to itself. I'm going to read that again. Our thought, your thought, my thought, our thought, as feeling. Remember, feeling is something that happens when you're emotionally involved with an idea. Our thought as feeling is the magnet which draws to us those conditions which accurately correspond to itself. See, this is where like attract likes comes into play. This is where understanding that principle comes into play. Think about that with you when it comes to your goal. And yes, you should have an amazing goal. See, the only way that this is going to become a material fact in your life is if your thought is synced with this. In other words, if you're emotionally connected to it, as if you're loyal to the idea. And through that loyalty, that's where you'll discover how. Again, the whole point being is that you're the one that gets to decide how you're going to think. Now, here within these calls, we've been studying the Master Key System. And yes, it's been amazing, hasn't it? And with that being said, I also want to remind you to get the Subconscious Code as well. Amazing book that will help to organize your thoughts. But with that being said, another reminder for you is remember, knowing it's not going to help you. Memorizing it, that's not even going to help you as well. What's going to help you is if you're using it. See, you've got to apply it. Application is the name of the game, baby. That's where it's at. It's through the use of this that you'll be able to maneuver and make the changes you seek. So let's dive into this, shall we? Let's go into where we left off yesterday. Okay, we're going to go over this part again here, number 6. And the page that this is page 104. And we're tying into your physical body and how your mind pervades your physical body. In other words, it's heavily synced to it. This is where the statement from Tony Robbins comes into play, where he says that your psychology is linked to your physiology. Your physiology is linked to your psychology. They're intertwined and connected. With this being said, Hanel goes to point out that, again, this mind which pervades our physical body is not only the result of hereditary tendencies, but is the result of home, business, and social environment where countless thousands of impressions, ideas, prejudices, and similar thoughts have been received. Now, think about this. Crazy awesome stick person. Woo, super cool. You got the senses. Now, most of what's in your mind has been something, or ideas have been ideas that have come through your senses into the conscious part of your mind, which then was impressed upon your subconscious mind. Whatever goes here and is held here goes here. The whole point being is that those ideas that are inside of you, which some are hereditary, and the other is environmental, because this is the other part that's talking about here, is it was planted. Okay, it's been impressed upon you. Now, much of this has been received from others, the result of opinions, suggestions of statements. Much of it is the result of our own thinking, but nearly all of it has been, pay attention to this word, accepted with little or no examination or consideration. Now, the reminder for you is what I shared with you in the last session here is that beautiful gem from James Allen where he talks about why it's so difficult for us to change. Remember, the main reason for why it's difficult for us to change is not because of human nature. It's because of how prevalent ignorance is around us. And why that's significant is because that ignorance that's around us, of which many of us are completely oblivious to, that gets impressed into us because we just unfortunately have been conditioned just to accept things based from what other people say, live from our senses. Instead of thinking from the inside out, we've been conditioned to think from the outside in, which is what influences us tremendously. Now, here, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when you become aware of that, you can shift your way of thinking to the right way of thinking, which is from the inside out instead of the outside in, which will then help you to deliver the change that you seek. But now, again, remember though, it's one thing to know about that. It's a totally different thing to engage with that, to use that, which is why I'm frequently reminding you that, hey, what's the magical golden rule? See, it's application, it's the use of what's being shared with you here. Now, here he goes further. The ideas seem plausible. The conscious received it, passed it on to the subconscious, where it was taken up by the sympathetic system and passed on to be built in our physical body. The word has become flesh. Now, what's he talking about here? He's talking about the ideas that we consent to, good or bad, whatever they are, when we are emotionally involved with them. That's something that has been made important. See, it's become plausible. It's become something that's a possibility. The point being is that when it's there and it's held, it automatically gets impressed here. And think about that. I bring this up with the example of shyness. Many of you have stated, "Oh, I'm shy. I'm shy." I used to say that too. But really, the point is that I'm really not shy, and neither are you if you've claimed the idea of being shy. What it is you've been conditioned to be shy. Why? Because the idea was plausible for you to be that way. But remember, the only reason why you are that way, if that's the way that you are, is because you've consented to the idea that other people's opinions are more important than yours. But I want you to notice how that's an idea that's been agreed to, which then leads to the feeling, which then leads to the action. The whole point, again, being is that when it's there, it then externalizes as feeling, which then leads to actions, which then leads to results. See, the word has become flesh. Now, what's beautiful about this is if you've done that inside of you unintentionally, where you led to negative word becoming flesh, you can do the same thing for the positive. But in order for you to do that, you've got to think. You've got to use your higher mental faculties. Now, he goes even further.